Simulator. I love something for you. Good luck.
What you just saw is the result of 3 months of hard work, aka the Putinator, my first ever Steam game. The Steam page is in the description and you should buy it because some of the money will go for a good cause, and I will get into that later. In the game you play as the soldier, aka the Putinator, sent to a Ukrainian village in order to stop the spread of the Putin clones from a failed Soviet experiment. Now, if you've been living under a rock, what's happening in the world right now is that Russia invaded Ukraine, and basically this guy is the biggest asshole on earth. Now, me being from Poland, which is a country that borders Ukraine right here, this really upsets me. With that being said, I've always wanted to make a zombies clone type of game, and this idea came into my head, like I said, about 3 months ago, that I should just create endless horns of Putins that you can shoot over and over and over again. I think this game is a fun little way to sort of de-stress yourself about the situation, and like I mentioned before, you can use it to help Ukraine. So for every sale of the Putinator, I will donate 10% of the profits to a charity in Ukraine. 30% goes to Steam, 10% to Ukraine, and the rest to me. I have a few friends that are Ukrainian that I've met in Poland over my life, and I just really want to do my part. And I know some people don't just like donating, so you can support me and support Ukraine by getting this game. Thank you all for 2.4k. We're close to 3k subscribers, which is amazing. I love making game dev content and I hope you guys enjoy it. And for the rest of the video, I will show you guys a little time lapse of how this game was created with some behind the scenes footage. So hopefully you enjoy that, you enjoy my game, and you have an awesome rest of your day. One last thing, I want to say thank you to TitantiumRat for some of the models in the game. Awesome artist. Check out the Twitter, link is in the description. First, I started out by modeling the arms. I used Blender with a little reference, and then I used Rigify to create the rigs. Then I created all the meshes for the guns. Everyone was pretty easy except for the shotgun, because I had to animate the little pump action. Next was the annoying bit of creating all the animations for holding the guns and recoil and such, things like that. The hardest one was the pump action shotgun, obviously, because you have to kind of pull the hand back when you shoot. I then textured the arms using Photopea, and I did the same with the guns. I had a little reference of each gun, and then I kind of painted based off of that. After that, I used an old model that I made for a tutorial, unwrapped it again, and I began working on the textures. First, I created like a basic zombie texture for testing, and then I created a zombie Putin texture. Next, it was time to jump into Unreal, where I created the base class for a gun and started creating the first slot, which is the pistol. The way the pistol works is essentially there's a little line trace that comes out of it, and wherever it hits, it deals damage. I then tweaked the animations in Unreal and added a muzzle flash that essentially is a texture that spawns for a fraction of a second every time you shoot. Afterwards, I had to tweak pretty much all the animations because they didn't match up in Unreal. Start with the shotgun, having to create a custom pump animation, and then I made a little system where, based on the integer value, the model of a weapon and animation would switch. Then I created the spread on the shotgun, which is essentially just a for loop that loops 10 times and creates 10 traces in random offsets. Next up was the AK, and as we all know, an AK is fully automatic, so I had to create a little function that would let you shoot every time you held the trigger. And of course, like any boomer shooter, you would pick up the weapons from the ground. The way this works is you essentially spawn with all the weapons. They're just set on valid whenever you pick up the little gun model. Next, you can see I'm doing a spawner system. Basically, it spawns an enemy every second, and then the AI is essentially just looking for the location of the player and going to that location every frame. The way the knife works is kind of like a gun. It shoots a tiny trace that's really close to the player, but it serves its functionality. I then added a basic UI system that shows you what gun you're equipping. Next, I started working on the flamethrower. Think of it as like a machine gun that shoots traces really fast at a short range, and it spawns flame particles. Then made some zombie animations, death animations, and then a few attack animations that once again are played randomly. I then started making the level. As you can see, it's kind of like how you make a level in 2D. I'm using tiles to generate our floor. Then I used the foliage tool to spray on pretty much all the grass and the wheat in the background. I then added all the models I got from TitantiumRat. Next, I created a spawning system based on the location you're in. As you can see, there's a couple spawn points in each area and colliders that determine what area you're in. Basically, they're switching on integers, and whenever you're in integer 0, you're using spawn points 0, 1, 2. If you're in integer 1, you're using spawn points 3, 4, and 5, and so on and so forth. I then created a system that will increase the health of the zombie each round and then increase the speed, but up until a certain amount, because I did not want the zombie to be faster than the player. I then created doors that require points to open. As you can see, they have locks on them, kind of to indicate to the player that they can go in there. And then I created a scarecrow that you can talk to and buy ammo for around 5,000 points. Now, the way this works is if you have enough points, it will pick a number randomly from 1 to 5, and each number corresponds to however many ammo crates are spawned, so you can spawn with 1 or you can spawn 5. Then I created a damage system. Essentially, you have 2 hits and then you die. As you can see, I created a skybox, actually 2 skyboxes, which are just materials wrapped around a sphere. The first one is just a background, and the second one is a clear material that represents clouds. I then created what's called the slow areas, which are supposed to represent mud. Anytime you walk into them, the little overlay displays and the player's speed is slowed significantly. I added a little health bonus. If you open the fridge, you can eat the pierogi and it gives you 200 health. Next, I made 2 post-processing volumes, one to kind of darken the map and another to add some sort of fog. And lastly, I created menu UI with some settings. You can change the sensitivity, you can change the sound a little bit, and then you can change the field of view. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope maybe you learned something. And I hope you get the game and enjoy it. And keep watching my videos. I will be working on more games as usual. And hopefully, if I have more time, I will upload more tutorials. But for now, peace.